Alrighty, here we go with another video. We're doing second base player profiles, and for these I use Steamer 600 projections. Also, I didn't really rank the guys, but if you really do need a rankings for the guys, I mean, it pretty much down the list, it would be, Robinson Cano would be 1 and 2, then 3. And that's pretty much optional, because I really don't like ranking guys as much as I do like seeing how good they are in terms of stats. So that would be my rankings. My rankings would be Cano and then Rendon. But I also color coded everything, and that's just so that you could see. That's kind of how I draft. When I'm drafting and I see stats, I kind of picture almost colors like that with a deficiency in one or more categories, and that's exactly why I did it. So when you draft, you kind of want what's the word? A decent team all around, right? So if I were to pick Ian Kinsler or Brian Dozier, their average would negatively affect me, or bias even then. But here we go with the projections, and not only that, but some other stuff. After the five second basemen up until I think Kipnis, it's pretty good, and then it gets a little bad. And Mookie Betts is kind of an outlier because he's projected to be like this fucking phenomenal second baseman, and I mean with those projections he'd probably be ranked somewhere in like the top 3 or 4 second baseman. So I'm gonna throw him out as a as an outlier. Neil Walker is another guy that's just he's really good, but for some reason he's always ranked like 10th. But here we go. Number 1 guy, we got Robinson Cano. He plays for Seattle. He's projected to hit 295 with 18 home runs, 76 RBIs, and those are pretty much almost the best numbers in the whole second base class. He's for sure he's just a really good player. Last year his ISO dipped, but I mean he did hit in Safeco, so he's probably never gonna hit 20 home runs again. It's gonna be really hard, but he's still the safest second baseman you can get. And that's probably what you pay for. You pay for, for a good all-around year from Robinson Cano. Number 2 guy we got here is Anthony Rendon. Hits Rendongs. He had a huge year last year. He was a highly touted prospect 2 years ago. He's looking to continue that year, and he might overtake the number 1 spot. He's actually he could probably hit 310, 320 with this bat control. So he's somebody you would probably want out of these top 3 guys. He has probably the most upside out of all of them. You pay for Robinson Cano's security, but you also pay for Rendon's upside. Altuve had a humongous year last year, and especially in average. He hit, like 340 or some shit like that? Ridiculous. But I'm guessing his average is going to normalize, and he'll still be a top 3 second base, though. And that's just showing you how shallow the position is, really. Because, I mean, after him, it just kind of... These are all question marks after that. After Altuve, you might want to go for, like, a Neil Walker, Mookie Betts type situation where you might want to draft both of them. Because Neil Walker, he's a pretty, good player. And, and you might want to take a gamble on Betts as well. Number 4, we got Kinsler. He had 100 runs last year, and he'll probably repeat as long as he stays healthy. So the Tigers lineup is also very good. So, I mean, nothing really changed. Well, actually, today we found out that Victor Martinez is going to be out 4 to 8 weeks with some knee problem. I think it was a MCL. So maybe his projection takes a little bit of a hit, but he's still probably gonna hit that 100-run mark, the centennial run mark. Here's where it starts getting a little bit dicier. We got Brian Dozier. He fell off in the second half last year, but he's a good home run stolen base combo, and he had 2020 last year, so I mean that's money. There's not many people who go 2020 nowadays. So he'll help you in home runs and stolen bases, which you kind of want to get your stolen bases from second base and shortstop if you can. That's a huge plus if you want to win that category, especially with the outfielders, since all of them steal bases really. But if you can get some stolen bases from second base along with some power, you're in a really good spot. He's projected to hit 240 with 15 home runs, 58 RBIs, and 14 stolen bases. So I mean, he could, go 2020 again this year. Kipnis is such a bummer because I had him last year and he just fucking shit the bed. He had a horrible year after a breakout 2013, and hopefully he has a rebound year, but I am not gonna chance it. He's another guy who can go 2020, but I wouldn't really draft him this year. I drafted him last year, but as a Cleveland fan, I'm not gonna get burned by him twice. He always goes on a tear, but for some reason he can never sustain that. He's never kept it up a whole season. So he'll be hitting like 220, and they'll have like a 340 month, and all of a sudden he's hitting like 280, and then it just goes downhill back to 250, 260, where he usually at. The next guy we have is Dustin Pedroia. Dustin Pedroia looks like he's on a decline the past couple years. He was injury more last year, and he could be healthy. He says he's healthy this year, so I mean, he might go for he might be due for a rebound, but I don't think he really will go. I mean, what are you paying for? What's his upside now? It's pretty much, he might hit 15 home runs, might steal 15 bases, but he's really not there. You're just paying for the name at this point. Might as well just skip him. D. Gordon had a huge first half. He was in like 330, I think, in the first half, and he just teetered off. And I'm pretty sure that's going to be his career year. The only reason you're drafting D. Gordon is for his stolen bases, really, and I guess his runs in a way, but his stolen bases is what makes him elite, because he's going to win you that category. He could win you that category with one day, really. If he has 5 stolen bases one day, you pretty much won the category. You could swap him in. You could swap him out with somebody else if you have that luxury. I would probably rank Walker before Betts, but I mean, they're pretty interchangeable at this point. And Betts, if he has a good spring training, he'll climb. So Walker would be in my number 9 spot, even though Betts is ahead of him in this one. So Walker is pretty much one of the most reliable second basemen we have. He hit 291 and never mind. He had an 800 OPS last year, and he might hover around that. So I mean, why would you not want him? He's pretty much a lesser version of Cano without the price, and he's gonna put up some almost identical numbers, as you can see with the Steamer. The average isn't gonna be there, of course, but the home runs and the RBIs, and he'll probably steal a bag or two more than Cano. Here we go with these are kind of like the wild cards. We got Betts, Baez, and Wong. So Betts is projected to have a monster year by Steamer. Like, for a rookie or a first year, second year player, that's a huge year. So if he's gonna hit 284 and 12 home runs, 63, if you could tell with 25 stolen base, if you could tell me that that's what he was gonna do, he'd probably be drafted right after Altuve. If so, probably right after Rendon. So take that for what it's worth. I'm not gonna agree with the Steamer projections, but he did hit 291 in 2014, and only 200 at bats. And one of the Steamer projections I was looking only projected him for about 400 at bats, which I don't agree with either. He's not gonna get 400 at bats. He's probably gonna get full time play unless he gets injured. That's not to say. And the 2 wildcard guys are probably Baez and Wong. projection for Baez is 221 with 27 home runs with 68 RBIs, 15 stolen bases. You really can't scoff at 27 home runs from the second base spot. I mean, he's gonna negatively affect you in average, and we all know he strikes out a ton. But if he's gonna hit bomb after bomb, then you might as well stick with him. You know, you just hope that he gets it a little bit more to 240, 250 than 220. If not, that's gonna be terrible for your average. But you can offset that if you get some good average guys. You could just get get a Miguel Cabrera early on, and then just go with Baez because he's gonna hit bombs. I mean, you can't scoff at 27 home runs nowadays because no one really hits 30. So if you can have 30 from your second base spot, you're in a huge advantage. Also with Baez, you have to risk that he starts hitting 150 and gets demoted. So next guy is Colton Wong for St. Louis. He's projected 257 with 13 home runs and 20 stolen bases, and he could presumably go 20-20, and you can't scoff at that either. So he's another guy you might want to take late. I think they were going in the 200s. Baez probably 150 range, but you can't really scoff at that. You just can't. You have to take chances in the later rounds, and that's what'll end up winning a draft. Especially if Baez hits 30, home runs this year and stays there all year. He could have a huge year. He was one of my sleepers this year, so hopefully he does good. And that's pretty much our video. So thank you for watching. Subscribe, and I'll be back in like an hour with another video. Thank you.